Breathing Alive podcast with the amazing Heath. Pronounce your last name for us. Breuer. Oh, I could have done that. Right. Donald Martin, Hethe Breuer. I'm Luis Guerra, and Donald's going to set this up for us. So you said 18 years you've known Heath.
Yeah.
You've never experienced a negative.
I have
Come
not.
on.
I had to think about it for multiple days before our podcast recording.
Wow.
And I like wanted to find, I was really looking for like just any kind of like negative comments, anything that was, I couldn't.
So your character, so essentially his character is positivity, and I'm wondering like how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like,
so let's give Heath a little bit of context of why we have Breathe into Life and why we have the podcast and why we have the brand.
Okay.
And so it's very simple, right? And we are inviting guests and inviting conversations around how do you stay in a positive light mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good mind. Yeah.
Because in those moments, like nothing's wrong, right? Like it's those moments of like staying in the positive lane that you don't see like the worst, the bad side of life. And it helps you to keep going. It helps you to continue to, move forward and, accomplish your goals or whatever task might be at hand.
I think it's not easy, right? For anybody to kind of maintain a positive mindset and project that in a social environment. It's definitely not easy because there is a lot of negativity. There is a lot of, we all encounter problems, I think, in any situation.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I think probably a lot of it was the way that I was raised and my parents being patient with me, just reflected on myself and growing up, and I've kind of just instilled that. I also think that whatever it is that we're doing on a day-to-day basis, professionally, personally, like at the end of the day, is there a reason to get upset or be negative or argue, whatever it is, because we're all going to go to sleep. We're all going to wake up tomorrow, and tomorrow's going to be a new day.
I love that. I
think that that's probably the foundation of why I am the way that I am and why I end up just being more polite and nice and kind and having empathy for everybody that I work with or that I encounter.
So go back to you mentioned the way you were raised.
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa. I was a single child until the age of 10. My parents, who are still married today, my dad was a police officer my entire life. My mom worked for the telephone company. So very simple family. We really didn't have money, but we had everything that we needed, and I didn't know the difference. My mom is probably the kindest, nicest, most patient person you'll ever meet. Probably the kindest, nicest, most patient person I've ever met. My dad was a little more abrasive, and I think that that's just, more of a masculine mentality in trying to run a household and make that household survive. So I do have a little bit of that in me that I fight from time to time.
Yeah.
Because I want to be more empathetic. I want to,
Do you feel like there's a limit to empathy? Like, in other words, can you become more empathetic?
I think people can start to change their mindset in being more empathetic. I think for me the biggest thing is to treat people how you want to be treated. And if you're having a bad day or if you're having a frustrating time with somebody, that maybe wait until tomorrow to give yourself time to think through that maybe anger or frustration that you want to verbalize, and wait until tomorrow and then readdress it. Because usually by the time tomorrow comes, you've changed your mindset and you've realized it's not that important to to show your frustration, to show your anger, to be mean to somebody.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question in regards to what you just said. So you expressed that your mom has the empathy and she's the nicest person, and then your dad has more of a masculine side of him. And you said, sometimes I fight that. What does that mean? Because like, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think I fight some of my, what's the word? My impatience. Because I do find that I am impatient with a lot of situations or a lot of people. And maybe a good example is like driving on a freeway in LA. You get very impatient and you want to like say bad things about people and the way that they're driving, when the reality is it's probably not the case. So I find myself like just fighting some impatience sometimes, and I think like anybody that maybe is in our life, and I think for my example it was my dad, who maybe didn't have as much patience as I've developed or as my mom did. I think I've found that I don't want to be like that, even though I do have it, if it's genetic or if it's just from life and growing up. So I think I put a lot of thought into the way that I deal with certain situations or conversations or interactions with people. I'm very thoughtful about it.
It makes a huge impact. Okay, so what it sounds like is you're just thinking about how you're reacting to the world, right? And when we simplify it, that's all it takes. It's just like a moment of awareness. I'm not going to lash out because the world doesn't need that, or it's kinder, nicer if I am reacting this way. And I think all those tiny little steps like really helps our society to be a calmer, a more friendly, a more kind, right? Because like every person, if they just have just a few moments of awareness, that would create a ripple effect of like how much kinder we can be with one another. Certainly. And that's what we want to highlight.
Yeah, I agree. There's also creative ways that we can communicate with each other that are just perceived as kinder, more empathetic. But the message might be the same as if you approached it from a harsher angle.
Yeah.
So give us an example of
that. And let's give it, okay, so we, encounter a lot of interactions with our counterparts in the fashion industry. And it's a high-driven anxiety society, environment.
Yep.
A lot of pressure. And so I have found us in many situations where, there's like an expectation, well, I want this faster, or I want this less expensive, or I want. And then the other side is just really trying their best to fulfill. But there's definitely a difference in expectation and delivery, right? And so when in those moments, I can share you with mine, but in those moments, what happens to your brain? Where do you go, and how do you stay calm? How do you speak about,
I literally was just on the phone the past hour communicating with an overseas vendor, and part of the frustration comes from language barrier or not understanding each other. But in an instance, like you gave an example of needing a product by a certain date, it's very easy to say, I have to have this by this date. Do what you can to make it happen. Or you could say, okay, we're really trying to get this by so-and-so date. Let's really work as a team to try to make this happen.
Yes.
I think the same level of importance on meeting that deadline.
Yes.
But communicating that, let's do this together. I'm here for you if you need me.
Yeah.
is, I think, perceived a lot
Yeah.
differently than
Yep.
saying, do what you can to make this happen.
Love that.
Well, I can contest to that. I completely agree with you. It's always in the way we deliver the question, the answers, the statement.
Love that.
And collaboration, like partnership, you know, relationships is everything and how we achieve things in our fashion industry, right? And so from the other side, so you're on the creative side asking for something, where I've been in the middle where I'm like facilitating, right, between what you want and then what the factory can deliver. I've also been on the back end all the way at the end saying, okay, I can deliver things to you, and then I mean, when it really comes down to it, I'm not sewing anything. I'm not actually the person doing it, but it's always in the way I'm asking. And so in speaking with vendors and suppliers, right, and that's really it's the mutual respect. Please include me in this conversation. Please tell me what's happening, tell me what's going on, so I can be your partner, your teammate, your, you know, like your, to deliver this. And it makes them feel much more important than like somebody like demanding,
Being
right?
told.
And this applies in everything we do in our daily like tasks. Like it's everything, not just, you know, like
Well,
our fashion industry.
they are part of it. I think everybody in any industry,
Yep.
no
Definitely
matter
mine.
what the pay grade is. You know, my son works in TV, film, print, and being on set, there's a wide range of pay scales
Yep.
there, and for the most part, I've seen like general respect for everybody on every single pay scale, and that, you know, I try to have that same respect for anybody that I'm dealing with in my industry as well.
Yeah, and I know you do, because, you know, you have been in this industry for a long time, and there is definitely a lot of, you know, credit and respect that comes from the suppliers, the vendors, the partners, i.e. I am with you. You know, so that's the message that we want to share to the world, the audience, you know, whomever's listening, is like, if we can just take a minute to just be kinder to ourselves, be kinder to the person next to us, to be kinder to, you know, like the partners that we work with.
In any industry and anything.
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
Yeah.
And there is a ripple effect in that. I think
Absolutely.
you mentioned, if you are the person today that starts with that kind, respectful, empathetic conversation, most likely that person is going to go through their day and be that way to the next person that they talk to.
So starting out your day, do you have like a ritual? Do you do anything specific, or you just are like, this is just how
I
wake up
don't,
every
and
day?
I wish I did. I wish I was able. I'm able to. I wish I took the time for myself at the start
You're
of the
not
day.
alone.
No, when I wake up, I'm ready to go. Like, I want to jump in the pool. I want to jump in and
Do stuff.
and do stuff.
Do you soak every morning before you start your day?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say that's your therapy.
I was
your
using
water.
jumping in the pool as a metaphor to jumping into
Yeah.
whatever it is
Yeah.
that, you know, we're doing on a day-to-day basis.
You want to get in. You want to get busy. You want to like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thrive off of. I've been in the creative industry my whole life, and I thrive off of creativity. So when I get up in the morning, I want to be creative. I'm like that kid that wakes up and wants to go play with Legos because it's so exciting to them.
So I got a question for that. Then, do you think that you and all of us here have like worked in our fields for a long time?
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay to change?
Yeah.
To make that change at any point? Like, does that? Because that's scary to people.
It
you
is,
know,
yeah.
and but the traits of empathy or the characteristics of how we approach any industry are the same. You know.
Yep.
And so you're just like learning a new skill set, or you're gonna change networks. It's gonna take time, but I don't know. I'm just curious, like, what do you think about your thoughts on that?
I think at any age you should never be afraid to decide, you know what I'm doing right now, I'm not completely fully in love with doing, and I want to go explore opportunities that are maybe more fulfilling for myself, because we only live once.
And how do you know that you're not fully in love? Well, what's the feeling? Is
That's
it your,
tough.
is it your
I
body?
have gone through my whole career loving almost everything that I've been involved in, everything that I've done. I was in corporate fashion America for 20 years. I ended up in the tech space for almost about 2 years, 2 or 3 years, with some exciting projects, but I started to realize I don't love this. I don't love this like I do the fashion industry, and I'm missing that. Like it's just kind of in my DNA now, and decided to leave. I left the tech projects that I was working on and came back to fashion and retail, and I have that feeling back. I've got that spark back. So for me, I think it's been easy because I ended up in an industry that I love and I enjoy and provides me a good creative outlet. And it was a very short amount of time that I was doing something that I didn't love as much, and it was easy for me to realize and go back. But I expect for a lot of people that it's a major industry change, a career change, which is probably a little bit harder. Yeah. But I think if it was me in a situation like that, at the age that I am now, I would, try it. What's the worst that could happen? You fail, and you go on and try something else. Right. To your point, I still carry the same respect, the same empathy, the same everything over, because that's just me, no matter what I'm involved in.
Yeah.
I want to highlight that, because that was one of the traits that I really admire about you, is that you do fall in love with everything you do, including something that you don't love so much. Because somehow you're able to find it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing, accepting the fact that this is what you're doing, and then really just getting after it in your best way, right? And putting your creativity. Maybe it was the creativity, it's your creative mind that's taking you to places where you're testing your ability to like do more, right? Because even in the fashion space, like you've done a lot. You can share a lot of all of the things that you've touched, but I've known you for a very long time, so I know all the things you've touched and all the products you've given birth to are out in the world right now, right? So those, and you're not afraid to try and pivot. And you pivot, you don't go from like a climber to like a swimmer. You go like, okay, my creative side, like I pivot to like tech, but then I pivot to something else. But I feel like it's your fearless way of like just trying and exploring and being so curious. So help us elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think
share that.
I definitely thrive off of. I live to be creative, but I thrive off of like creating tangible, products for people, and I think it's definitely very rewarding.
So can you help us to elaborate on all the falling in love projects, products, everything that you do?
When you pivot, or we were talking about a little bit,
Yeah, and I think, you've done a lot of product and projects in the fashion industry, but you have pivoted to other industries, but you still have that same passion and love.
Yeah.
So
or
what we want to
curiosity,
understand is like how do you always maintain that like love and doing and creativity and passion?
I have a passion for almost anything creative, even if I don't understand it. And if I don't understand it, I usually find interest and curiosity to explore it.
Yeah.
Even if that's just a learning experience. I think I have a deep, something deep inside me that just is curious. Like I'm a very curious person for things that I work in or currently are involved in, or things that I don't know and have no experience with. I'm curious about them and I want to learn them. But I thrive off of creativity, but I think through my career, some of that has been driven off of seeing a consumer's reaction or sales based on that, and the reward or the feeling you get when you create something that's tangible and somebody responds to that, usually through sales, that's how we can tell, is really fulfilling. Yeah, I have a deep curiosity over things that just everything. I mean, things that I currently do or I'm involved in. I have a curiosity to push that and learn more. I have a curiosity to learn about things that I don't know. I'm not scared about learning anything. And then back to like my, my passion and being fulfilled through creativity. I think seeing, people respond to the products that I've designed or created, or seeing people wear them on the street, like that's super fulfilling.
Well, what if they didn't? What if you were just designing, you have no idea where it's going out in the universe? Like, would you still be fulfilled?
I am fulfilled. And part of that comes from like being able to put something, from taking a concept, putting it down on paper, and then seeing that come to life, if it is in fabric or garment form, is fulfilling in itself. With that, though, I think I'm not scared to fail.
Yeah.
Or I'm not scared to try something and it doesn't work. Because there's a lot of successes, there's a lot of wins, and there's more successes, there's more wins than there is failures. And I think if we are not doing something that fails from time to time, that we're not learning.
Yeah. When your mind goes, okay, so a lot of people, I would imagine, when you're on the opposite side of the spectrum, right? Like when you're afraid of failing and you can't try because you're afraid of failing.
Yeah.
Like, where do you go from there? Like, how do you go back to like, failure is fine? Like, is there like a conversation that you have with yourself? Is there a mindset shift?
I think the initial reaction a lot of times is maybe disappointment. So the initial acceptance of that, or the initial thought, can be disappointment.
Yeah.
But I've learned, again, like, wake up tomorrow, reassess it, rethink it, and you end up looking at that in a different light, like in a more positive light.
And you've spoken about that too. Like, we just keep charging, just keep doing stuff, just keep showing up. It's just like that relentlessness. I feel like what I hear, at least like not associating this with your industry, but it's like you cannot let yourself get defeated. And how do we not let ourselves? That's what's so powerful about our mind. We don't have to be defeated by anything.
Yeah.
Unless we allow ourselves.
Yeah.
And make that,
Yeah.
And I think we're never going to be the best at anything.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. And that's it. If you can learn that, earlier on in life, that no matter what we do, it's maybe not going to be the best in the world, but it's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I feel like piggybacking on that a little bit, the sort of preciousness that I see in my industry and like the creativity and like I made that or I wrote that or I composed music. So talking about other composers, like I've seen that and it's just like, but that's what we do, right? You should do it every day. Just wake up, do it just like anything else. So there is no preciousness. We attach the preciousness, right?
Yeah.
The validation that we want to know. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're not me. I'm like, but really, it's our role, it's our job to just get up and do it again.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is learned, and I can't remember exactly like at what point in my life that I stopped to realize, I realized that everything I do matters, right? Because I guess growing up, culturally, I was, learned that like with really high expectations on myself, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. No matter what culture, what colors your skin is, when you have high expectation for yourself, so you're always trying to meet your standard, and that's it. but you somehow, when you get to that standard, you go higher. What I'm trying to say is, because you're always chasing that like next level with yourself, you're never satisfied. So the moment where I realized, well, everything I do matters, small or big, right? I stopped making myself or setting those high standards for myself, because now my standard is just there. It's just a standard. Like, I act a certain way, I deliver information a certain way, I speak a certain way.
So I'm going to simplify what you're saying for a second, because it's like the simplification of that is the action, the micro action of just doing whatever it is. Forget the expectation, the perfectionism, like that's gone. It's really just about commitment to creating, to doing, to talking to your kids, whatever, to being awesome with the world and empathetic. It's just that's really where, I don't know, that's the exceptionism, that's our exceptionalism, that's the perfectionism. I guess you're allowing yourself to break it down to just like your action. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense right now.
No, I think there's a lot of people out there, and we've probably all strived for perfection, or we've been thoughtful about improving on anything that we do. When I think in actuality, I think, and I've had to learn this over time, we improve no matter what.
Right.
So as long as we are repetitious about the things that we're doing, we're just naturally going to be better tomorrow or the next day or next week or next year. That's going to happen without thinking about it.
Do you tell, well, like I don't know if you have like 2 older kids or 1 older kid, but do you, in other words, like with what you just said, like I feel like that would be a really powerful thing to tell anyone, but definitely young people. It's like you're going to improve as you do this. You know,
we have not had conversations about it, but I feel like one of my older kids, my older son, definitely. I'd be curious actually to know. I think he probably understands that and knows that.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a certain amount of pressure and anxiety feeling in young, like, oh my God, I have to be like awesome and amazing right now, today. But it's like, you're going to get better, you know? It's, you know.
I think, well, for me, with my kids, is that I feel them. Right, I kind of sense things out, because I did not love being lectured, and I did not love being told like how to feel, how to act, or how to improve something. So it was with all those, I guess, defiance. I learned it probably longer. Like it took me longer to learn something, right? But it was through trial and error. What I'm trying to say is, with the kids, I'm just being an example. Like I'm just being, right? I'm doing what I think is my highest integrity, and what, and everything I do it with my best self. So then I am hoping that they can just see it and feel it and like see the results rather than me sitting them down all the time. But conversations do need to happen, and I squeeze those in any opportunity I get. Like it'd be just like between the ice cream, or like during dinner, or like taking them to school. But I put them in like micro doses rather than like big chunks of like, sit down, I need to talk to you.
That's brilliant. I've never thought about that. And I love the idea of microdosing anything. Well, a lot of things.
It's easier to digest.
And I think if we look at conversations with even adults, but I think with the kids is a great example of getting your point across or communicating through microdosing. Actually could be an interesting way to be kinder and nicer to other people. Interesting.
Elaborate on that. I feel like your creative light just came on.
It did. I'm like, well, maybe you're in a, going back to the conversation that we started this show with. If we end up in situations or conversations, or maybe relationship conversations, whatever it is, and our initial reaction is to voice anger or disappointment or whatever, instead of thinking I need to get this whole, all of this feeling out. I need to get my whole argument out right now. If we break that down into something smaller through different stages, I think through a 6-hour period of time, a 12-hour period of time, 24-hour period of time, that we end up lightening up through that and by the end of it, versus here's a bunch of my frustration and anger.
I think it could. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, okay, so there are two things that I've learned over the last few years that absolutely work because I've tried them and I'm exercising them and I'm using them daily. So one is taking 90 seconds out, right? So just that we talked about the 90 seconds where like the initial thing happened, you count down or you give yourself 90 seconds. It might be an email, you walk away. It might be a text, you walk away. Whatever it is, give yourself 90 seconds. If it's not 90 seconds, 60 seconds will work, 30 seconds will work, but it's the pause, it's in between the thing, the doing. And then the second thing is, honestly, so multitasking doesn't really work, right? So, I mean, yes, it does, but it doesn't. So what I have done for myself to like ease the overwhelming anxiety of having so much to do, if I'm just doing one thing right now, I'm sitting here talking to you, that's all I'm doing. I'm listening and I'm talking.
That's right.
And that's all that's needed to do right now. And then I can move on to the next thing. It's microdosing. It's the micro thing that I'm doing that's easier for my body to digest and also for me to understand that's all I need to do.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard in this day and age where we
are distracted constantly or bombarded by
constantly. We, I think, probably as society are evolving into who knows what very fast because of that.
Right.
And I would imagine like it's not healthy for anybody in the world. But
I don't think it's the way we were evolutionarily speaking. But that's not to say that it just is. It's like that's where we're heading, right? So like for better or worse, right? And no judgment on that because you're right. You know, that's where things are moving beyond our control. It's like a market or right.
Yeah.
But we can control taking that break, taking that moment.
Yeah. The taking a moment is a lot harder than just remembering you only have to do one thing with the younger generation, right? Because I think if they can just remember, like if I have to do the one thing that I'm teaching today, is just remember you only have to do one thing in that moment and then move on to the next thing. I used to have this like 3 things on a priority list with all the team members I had. That'd be my first comment to all my new members or during any meeting is like, just remember you only have to do 3 things. You hit the first, you finish, or if you just start the first, just focus on the first 3. Once you're done with those, then go on to the next 3. But when it's just 3, it's easier to get accomplished rather than like because you never get it done. And you have to also accept the fact that you're just not going to get it done.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think there's also days like you don't have to do anything. And we don't do that often enough. Where if you wake up and whatever reason, like you just don't feel like doing anything. Don't do it.
Wow.
Give yourself that break. It's
what
hard.
What does that feel like? What is that like?
It's hard. And I probably have, it's rare, but I have days like that where I wake up and I'm like, it's a Tuesday and I need a mental health day. Like I need a sick day. And maybe that ends up being 2 hours or 3 hours. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling better. I'm doing better.
I'm ready to
and then I jump in. But the
Yeah.
intent was like, I'm taking the whole day.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should feel shouldn't feel bad about that.
Yeah. No,
I want to elaborate on that because I get you completely. I think, us working in a corporate environment, right? There are no days off. And then especially when you're in a leadership role, you can't take the day. You feel like you can't take the day off.
You feel like you can.
You feel like, I want to correct myself. Yes. Because absolutely your team can do everything, and each person can take a day off, and still nothing will fall through the crack. Nothing will fall apart. So now that we have kind of moved away from that, like every day we have to report in, and I feel like we work a lot more because we are now responsible for a lot more people and a lot more projects because we are entrepreneurs. But so how do you allow or give yourself permission to take the day off, whether you're in a corporate environment or in
Your
a
own, right?
I think you just have to prioritize your own health over anything else in the world in that moment. Physical health, mental health, whatever it is, like that needs to become the priority. If you've run yourself to a point that you're like, you're getting up and you're like, I can't do this, make it a priority.
Yeah.
Because everything else is going to continue. The job, the work,
The world.
the world, it's all going to keep going.
Yep.
I think the other thing too is we've all had the opportunity to travel all over the world. And the U.S. is quite different from a lot of countries that prioritize self and family.
Absolutely.
And we're not one of those cultures. But I think looking at other countries, other cultures as inspiration, there's no reason that we can't bring that to ourselves, our family, our whatever projects we're involved in. Like, be the leader and stand up and say, you know what, we need to change.
So, yeah. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I think, the huge incentive of taking the day off or giving yourself like the mental break is that you're not going to get sick over it. Like I think about like stress,
Absolutely.
the havoc that there's on your body, anxiety. So like imagine if you just take those small breaks, right? The microdosing, and then you get to like a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
So to be clear, like for people, we're not talking about microdosing a substance, right? We're talking about microdosing your actions, right? So I want to be really clear about that. Just so people are like, I listen to their podcast, and they're like, they take microdosing mushrooms. I don't know, they're talking about all this.
Thank you,
No,
Louise.
we're not.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, feel free to. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay.
Really clear,
but I guess what I'm saying is that like these small mental breaks and these small like vacations, if you will, right, will allow for better health, a better lifestyle, a better connection with your friends and your families, and those around you feel how good you feel, and they in turn will then be influenced to do so. I'm all about that. I'm all about like how do we fix ourselves so that way like everybody around me could benefit.
I agree.
Even if they don't do the same thing as I do.
100%. 100%.
These micro like steps are really helpful.
I also think setting boundaries with people that you work with or with anybody, it could be family, it could be profession. There's no problem in saying, I am unavailable on Sundays.
Yeah.
Like for us that are entrepreneurs that work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, I am not available Wednesdays from 3 o'clock on, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that.
Yeah.
No.
And I think most people are going to be pretty respectful of it. And if they're not respectful of it, then
that's not your problem.
yeah.
That's not you,
That was me thinking about how can I more nicely say
it's not,
something, right?
I mean, I want to go back to that 90-second rule. I want to talk, you guys have both like been making my brain just spin. The body keeps score. It comes to mind, 90 seconds to shift an emotion, a thought, 10 breaths in that 90 seconds. Why, that relates to breathing life and like how powerful that is to breathe, taking time, mental time off, or taking time for yourself. These are all things that I learned way later in life. And I say way later, like in my mid 40s, I'm 50 now, right? And I have no shame in that. But I did not know. No one said, hey, Luis, you should take a day off. It was very much about validation equals how many hours can you work? How much money can you make? How many projects can you take on? And little did I know that I'm trading my cellular health for that. And I didn't know that, you know, and that we all of us, you got to go through your own journey. There's no, like, that's what I'm saying. There's no shame in that. There's no guilt in that. It's just, if there's some way that this reaches the person that needs to hear that moment, it's like, it's all right.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. It's nobody's here to judge. There's no judgment.
Yeah.
And if there is, it's not important, you know?
Yeah.
It really isn't. Because like you said earlier, it's like we only have one life. That's it.
And it's short.
And it's short, you know? It's like
Short.
you want to feel good. You want to do something. You want to travel around. You want to do things. Whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. I want to bring up the fact that, like, all the things that we're talking about, like, you know, taking mental breaks, and then, you know, just taking a pause and calming your body before responding. You know, all of these things lead to clarity and, like, preciseness. What I'm saying is, like, when your body's in hayfuck and you're having anxiety, you can be doing 20 things, but, like, only half of that would amount to, like, the results that you might want. So because I've done both, that's why I know for me it works. You know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I do know my body, and I do know what I've done and what I've done differently to change the results. Because I'm always about results, right? So as our entrepreneurs, we thrive on that. We want to do more. We want to give more to, you know, our clients. We want to give more to the project. We want to make more money. So we're not here to deter you from doing more. What we're saying is, like, when you take a moment to yourself and you take a moment to get clear and you do things precisely and in a calm manner, your results will be very different than if you're running on empty and feeling very anxious.
I agree. Yeah.
Do you have examples that you can give
Well,
us?
I was just thinking about what you were saying. It's like the expertise of a doctor or a, you know, somebody at that level, a PhD, you know, a researcher, whatever. It's like that. I've really learned that that's an expert opinion, but my story and my experience is the validation of that. That is also expertise. So don't discount that. Nobody is better than anybody else in this conversation. There's no right, there's no wrong. It's like, if you want to work 7 days a week and that's like filling your cup and you can do it, just do it. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me, you know, and I want to be really clear. It's like, there is something to be said for, like, taking breaks and pauses and, like, figuring it out and being, like, clear and not doing 20 things at once, but doing one. There is. Now, how you get from 20 to 1, well, maybe you have to go through all these steps to get to that moment. And maybe an expert can help you get to that place. Cool. But that's you. That's your experience. And there's, to be really important, you're not Donna, you're not me, you're not Heath, you know, that's you. And so I think that's really important to this conversation too. So no one feels like, oh, they just have an amazing life and, oh my God, you know, there's no comparison. You know, and I feel like that has often been the way things have played out for a lot of people. It did for me at a certain point. So that's, to answer your question, yes, that was those are my thoughts. So that was my experience. So it was like, why is this person doing better than I am? Oh, they must be working more, you know? Maybe they weren't, you know? Maybe they were
Probably
like,
not.
just clearer, more focused, more belief, whatever it was. And they distilled it. And I think that's what's amazing, to surround yourself with people that, like, share that commonality. That's a shift from somebody like me. Yes. And absolutely. I do great things because it's not that I'm trying to do great things. It's that I believe that I'm a great person on the planet, just like anybody else. There is no better, worse. We're all great. You know what I mean? But I don't think a lot of people really, they can't hear that almost. It's like, no, wait, you know, I don't know if you want to jump in, but, you know, I'm kind of rambling, you know, but.
I want to talk about self-love.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Especially with two men in the room.
Please.
Right?
Do you want to pause or do you want to jump into that? Because that's like a whole topic in itself.
Do you want to grab on me and then we'll talk about self-love?
So and explain breathing the life we love on me, and Donna's going to tell you why. And make it crumbs, it doesn't matter.
Are you a vegetarian or okay? So then
I
you
tried.
Get, right.
So
too.
I don't know if I shared.
You did share that, or
A
like
couple months ago.
Yeah, you just
you
lost
did.
so much
I
weight.
tried going to a whole food plant-based diet.
Yeah, you tried that.
I was so excited about it. Yeah, I didn't.
Lost so
didn't work.
yeah.
Can I ask why, or was it like you just like I got to do that?
I
Like
think I was watching a bunch of podcasts on the topic, and the topics were like how horrible a lot of foods are for us, and not just the artificial sugar and like those foods, but like every food that we would eat, from meat proteins, dairies, cheeses, like, so it was like how unhealthy these are. I got so turned off by food and started
Just
watching
eating in general.
so you were like,
like
I'm gonna, so the
sprouts
solution
and-
was
Right.
plant-based. It sounds like
whole food
right?
No,
plant-based.
like by and
Yeah.
and raw. No.
Most of it raw,
Yeah.
but it was like chickpea, lentil, sprouts, beets. I don't remember what else.
Seeds. Were you
Seeds.
eating seeds?
Yeah.
And lower
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nuts, like
Yeah.
Yep. So you had to get protein somewhere. I know garbanzo, lentil.
Yep.
Were you doing grains? Eating grains.
Yeah.
Eating.
Yes. Yeah. I was. And I think you can be on a diet like that. You can do a diet like that, but you have to eat
A lot
A
of
lot.
more.
A lot.
Yeah.
and
All day.
one thing that I don't like doing in
Is
life
eat-
is eating.
Right.
Interesting.
So you probably just reduce the amount of intake, right, and the calories.
Yeah.
And you probably had to supplement all of that with something, and you.
And I
just,
wasn't, so I
yeah.
was just losing a lot of weight.
Yeah, and I think
Interesting.
it's very difficult because, well, a couple of things like I would imagine you have to like fill up your body with a certain amount of calories, but good calories, right, to be able to sustain.
And I think even on a regular diet, I'm not eating enough calories
Yeah.
anyway. So then to like try to drastically change a diet like that was very hard on myself.
Okay, wait. I want to. First of all, where are these banh mi from? Thank you so much, Donna. Where are these from?
Right. So you on our website you can purchase a banh mi, and it will give you an actual location in Echo Park in Los Angeles. That way you can go and get a banh mi, and you get a café soda, which is a Vietnamese coffee for those that love Vietnamese coffee. You love caffeine. Yes.
So good.
You will enjoy a Vietnamese
So
coffee.
they can find that on our website, which is.
breatheintolife.us. Breatheintolife.us.
Cool. And guess who designed that, or like put it all together with us? All right, he's our magical person that helps us very much, and we're very grateful. But
I try.
Yeah.
My biggest motivation of changing my lifestyle and status, and breaking free from like being emotionally really unhappy, and then that like translated into physical unhealthiness, and then it also affected the way my kids felt, with me around. So I felt responsible to make good decision, and although very painful and although very difficult to make a change, it's as if if I'm not doing this, I'm not going to be able to live longer. I'm not going to be able to raise my kids. I'm not going to be able to help my companies, right? I'm not going to be, the list goes on and on. So because of those reasons, it's that was my power, and that was my, magic to be able to just move ahead with a change.
Yeah.
But that's me. I can't speak for everybody, and everybody has their reason for staying in pain. We're hoping, as we share different stories with you, and with all the guests that we have came on to our podcast, that that it would guide our audience to a place of like, okay, I'm not happy, I feel bad, and I'm in a lot of pain. Maybe there's not a lot of pain, but you feel like you want to make a change, and it's okay, because on the other side,
But you still have to take action. You want to,
Yeah.
but taking action, it's not scripted. There is no, like, I can't tell you I couldn't tell anybody what to do, right? It's just, but you have to take action to see what's on the other side. And I'm just curious, you speak about the before, the middle, that kind of like, I don't know, and the after. Maybe we can all touch base on, or, have a conversation about that. But that's really interesting to me, because,
so we spoke about the before, right? So your before life is that you're in a relationship or in a career or in a company where like it's not fulfilling. But beyond not fulfilling, I mean, there's, you still get the paycheck, you still get the days off, you still have like, your end of the year bonus. But when it's not fulfilling is because like you're not waking up and wanting to jump into the pool right away. Jump in the pool of like, let me do all of this, and with a smile or vibrancy, right? And so like day after day, like that starts to like get worse. So that's the before. In the middle, it's like, okay, I can deal, like you somehow find ways to deal with, manage, and just like get through the day to get to the next one. But again, like to me, that's not fulfilling.
No,
it's the life that you're like, okay, that's the middle, but if where I am in the after, where I'm just like, I want to jump into the pool too. Like I want to get up. I can't wait to get all the things done. I already have my to-do, but I'm going to do the one thing, and I keep my focus on that. And that allows me to do so much more than I used to be able to do, or with a lot less pain, a lot less, like anxiety. And so the afterlife, after making the decision of making the change, is where like I find fulfillment.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I just didn't think about fear. I don't have a lot of fear in life. I think I went through life with a lot of fear. I have very little fear now. I think this fear of like losing a loved one, or a fear of like, I don't know, losing my ability to be creative. But I don't have a fear of like not being successful. I don't have a fear of really anything. Like I found like real happiness later in life. And I think when you find that happiness and like content with yourself, that you lose a lot of fear in anything.
I agree.
Like I could lose everything that I own physically tomorrow and not think twice. Like I'm not worried about it, because I have happiness. I have happiness in life. I have happiness knowing I can just do the things that I enjoy doing. And that's a really good feeling. So maybe it's a dangerous feeling, not having too much fear in life.
I don't know.
Yeah, that makes me wonder. When you don't have fear, how many things can you do?
I'm still cautious about the things that I do in life.
Yeah.
I'm not stressing at night. I'm not losing sleep over a lot of things that maybe other people do.
I believe it's because you've released the fear of losing. The fear, to me, is a form of attachment.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that that's overly used, but I think when we are hanging on to something that we're afraid to lose, it's fear, right? And when you like let go of it, and there goes fear, and then there goes like freedom to do everything.
Yeah.
So now you're not spending all your energy in like, what is that fear? Why am I afraid? All of your energy is geared towards that. Now it's like redirected to do all of the things that your mind is going, oh, now that you don't have that to worry about, do all of these things.
Right.
Yeah. We can cut this out if you need, but I think for me, I've gone through like ego death through an experience where I literally like I died, and my soul left my body, and it was a beautiful space to be in. And I came back, to my body after a few hours of experience. And there was a little bit of a disappointment there in realizing that I have a body.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, why do I need a body? That's tough to swallow. But having gone through a mushroom trip or a psychedelic trip where you go through ego death makes most people look at life completely differently. I think in a more positive light. Like you find more happiness in yourself. You find acceptance in, I don't know, you find acceptance in the fact that like we're here today living. For whatever reason, we were given this opportunity to live on Earth as a human for a short amount of time. And eventually, like our soul, and this is my belief, but our soul is going to go somewhere else. Like I think our soul, our energy, continues living forever.
Yeah.
Our body is just a vehicle.
Yeah.
And I try to live more with my soul than with my consciousness.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have the same belief. I believe that, we live on forever. There is no death.
Yeah.
And so we're borrowing this body to evolve and to, like basically create on Earth, right? Earth where we are right now. And so all the things that we do, say, and like the experiences we have here is to like evolve all of us. So each one of us is very responsible for our actions. But because it's not promoted, it was never taught to us in the school, at a school level, right? Our parents probably didn't even know. My parents definitely didn't know that. I also grew up without my parents, but my grandmother was very like spiritually connected to Buddhism. So, but all I've learned from Buddhism is, there's suffering in the world, and as a person, you want to help society by knowing yourself, being calm and being loving and being happy. So that will give out into the world of suffering, like your happiness and your, that's like the sacrifice. But yeah, so if you think about there's no death, and you are here to really create all these beautiful things that's gonna lead us to the next like why not? Like why like that puts me into like a an overdrive of like how fast can I go? How much more can I do? Who else can I talk to? Right? Because that's kind of like where my mind's at.
Interesting.
It's actually really, for me, in just reflection over life, it's been very interesting because when I was 22, I got a tattoo on my back from the Tao Te Ching, which I think is a Buddhist book on the spirit of life and how the spirit of life never dies. It's infinite. I got it because I was into who knows what when I was in my young 20s. Fast forward, I'm now 45, and this is probably a newer belief of mine, or maybe it's just been a manifestation from when I was 20-something, but I find it interesting. Either I'm super consistent with the development of my thoughts and beliefs over the years, or it's something a little more magical. But
what was your upbringing like? Did you have religion? I
was raised Catholic. Wednesdays, Catholic youth, Catholic school, and Saturday or Sunday service, and I struggled with the religion my whole life. I knew it wasn't for me, and I think religion for anybody is not bad. I think if it fulfills you and brings joy and happiness, or just brings something to your life. Like, that's amazing. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've also explored Christianity. Like I mentioned earlier, my grandmother and my grandparents were very connected to Buddhism. And the way I was taught was that Buddhism was really just a philosophy.
Yeah.
Right? It's a life of philosophy
life.
rather than a religion. So I felt like that was easier for me to like absorb rather than like, this is our religion, this is what we do. But there was a ritual where, and I would remember those moments of like really nice calm, with the incense. I still burn a lot of incense these days because it brings me back. But I believe, it really comes down to like, how are you going to show up in the world, right? And what your actions to the people that are around you and what you do matters. And I guess that's the simple message that we're trying to share.
Yeah. In any industry.
In any industry, in any religion, regardless of what color of your skin is. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you alluded to the golden rule, a little bit like early on in our conversation about like doing the to others as you would to yourself. I think that's really important,
Yeah.
I think about that a lot. Would I yell at myself if I want to yell at this person or cut this person off if I'm driving on the 405? No.
Yeah.
Like, I do that to myself?
I heard something, or I don't know, read something recently, maybe it was on social media, and you guys can try this right now, or you can try it at home. In your mind, scream your name. Like, scream your name right now.
Oh, Donna!
No, not out loud.
Oh, sorry, in your head. Okay.
In your, like, without vocalizing it, just to yourself, scream your name as loud as you can, like anger. And now do that same thing, but like calm, soft voice. And that just proves that you have control over your voice. You have control over your anger. And in a moment, you can either decide to vocalize and scream and be angry, or you can decide to be calm and collected.
Yeah.
For me, that was really powerful.
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
That is really powerful. What do you think what are your thoughts on our like triggers and like the relationships or people that we come across? Do those influence on the way you either stay calm or not stay calm?
I think, depending on personality, it's harder sometimes. People's reaction or people's the way that they're communicating definitely plays a role into how we want to react.
Yeah.
And depending on how far that's pushed, I'll either like calmly deal with it, or like I literally won't deal with it. I won't respond. I won't like waste my energy like dealing with anybody that's just too much or out of line.
What do you consider easy? Give me an example of easy.
Life is easy.
I love that.
Life is easy. It's as hard as we want to make it. And for some reason, we like continually try to make our lives hard by everything that we do. We need to buy a dog because it's going to make us happier. Well, it complicates things. It makes things a little harder. You've got to feed it and water it and walk it. So yeah, it's as hard as we make it, but life is easy.
I love that.
Yeah.
Life is easy. Yeah.
We're gonna make a T-shirt.
Yeah.
That said, "Life is easy."
Yeah.
We should.
Breathe into life.
And we should
Exhale.
like show notes. I know I keep thinking about this, but we should like help people and add resources or books, or so we might reach out to you, you know, and get any recommendations. But yeah, earlier on I was thinking about something. I was like, I want to make sure that we know where to find that and how to find that. But we haven't been doing show notes prior, but I think we should start. So that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Yeah.
If you can give your younger self like 3 advice,
Yeah.
what would you say?
Professional advice? I would like to give some financial advice and maybe investment advice. I think we all wish we had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would give myself advice. I would be like, I would say, stay curious, explore, do what you love doing in life. And I'd probably, end up in the same place that I am today. But I don't think I wouldn't give myself any advice.
I love it.
And I'm a little bit like that with my kids too.
Yeah.
Is push them off the end of the diving board.
Yeah.
Like, figure, I want to help you, but at the same time, if we help too much, then we don't, there's a chance of not learning from that.
I agree.
I love it.
100%.
Should we wrap it?
Hethe Breuer, everyone. Breathing the life. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you very
so
much, you
much,
guys.
Heath.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.